Okay, hello. So I just talked to my counselor and I had like this insight and I wanted to speak on that for a little bit. One thing that I feel like I've grown to understand is like, especially within the last few days, is the importance of like coming back to center. Because and I just recorded a video about purification, so that was like an energy that I was in recently. But when we connect with others, when we put things into our body and whatnot, it affects us. And sometimes it's really important to like mindfully come back to self, you know what I mean? And the reason why I felt prompted to say this is because once again I talked to a counselor, and I mean, for the most part she's pretty groovy. Like, it seems like, you know, we're pretty aligned for the most part. But there is a bit of a energetic imbalance, I guess, which for someone like me, I guess, is just kind of normal. Something I've had to get used to, like just recognizing that most people are not necessarily equipped to handle my energy consistently, you know what I mean? And so I had to really prepare myself for that. I did have green tea before and during the conversation, and it was a pleasant conversation. It was like 4 minutes or whatever, but like there was definitely that tension for me on my side of like being small and like, you know what I mean? Because once again, she's in the teacher position, she's supposed to be helping me, but I recognize that, like, you know what I mean? Like I how do I say this without sounding pompous? Like, I have developed my awareness to where, like, you know, anybody who comes in contact with me, they have the ability to like learn so much and like to up level so much, you know what I mean? And so when there's somebody who's in the teacher position, who's in that, it there's always that tension for me, because it's like, I know so fucking much, and yet you're here trying to teach me stuff that I already know, you know what I mean? And I have to refrain from being like, well, you know, I already kind of know that, I already understand that. I did mention to her that I was recording videos. I feel like the way that I phrased it seemed like this was like a new thing, but it is not. I've been very consistent with this. But I suggested that, like, if she was open to it, I could share, you know, something with her. But of course there's that annoyance, that very frustrating thing. Oh, there's that very frustrating thing that happens when, how do I say this? As a high energy person, as somebody who's very, like, you know, in the energy, having to deal with other people's projections, other people's perspectives, that can be detrimental, you know? And when I say that, I mean, like, when people, I don't know, feel jealousy towards you or feel inadequacy because of you, it's like something that you have to, like, especially depending on how like in tune your awareness is, like, that's something you have to be mindful of and like learn how to navigate, learn how to not internalize, you know? Because that's I think for a lot of us, we get into that energy of like shrinking ourselves because of other people's perspectives, because of other people's discomforts, you know? And it's courteous, it's considerate, but it's like, is that really fair to you or to anybody else, honestly, to shrink yourself for the sake of like people who already kind of think small, you know what I mean? Like, already kind of exist very tinily. Is that a word? Because that's the thing about it. Like, when you have a strong energy, your presence will trigger people, like the how do I say it? Like the best of people, like those people that like otherwise are super solid. Like, it's that sort of energy. It's a lot to carry, and it is a big responsibility, you know what I mean? But when you really truly learn how to hold it and take care of it, it's like, it's really groovy, you know? But yeah, that's definitely something to consider, something to be mindful of, I guess, as you progress along your journey. And obviously, the flip side of it, you don't want to be consumed with like what other people think of you, but it is going to be something that's likely in the back of your mind, like, just because of the energetics of it, because of, the awareness of it, you know, the weird looks and once again, the discomfort, because you will like pick up and it will throw you off balance sometimes, and you have to once again come back to center, come back to self, and I don't know, not to get too personal, but I do feel like the worst of it happens when it like is your family, like when it's people closest to you, like friends and whatnot, when they start to feel that way towards you, because obviously you care about these people, you want them to think highly of you, but because of their own insecurities and stuff, they won't be able to really meet you where you're at. It's quite unfortunate, but that's just how it is for the most part. And like once again, you'll feel compelled to like shapeshift and like conform and shrink yourself to fit in, but like really, quite honestly, that is not the most kosher way to go about it. Once you could choose whatever you want, you could do whatever you want. You don't have to take what I say as Bible, but I don't think it's ever a good idea to shrink yourself for the sake of others. Now, obviously, if safety is involved, if it's like a survival thing, I get it. But if your safety is not involved, if your safety is not at risk, you should not be doing that. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, it's all a learning curve. It's all a learning process. No mistakes, just lessons. So, I don't know, keep your head up. Hope you know. God loves you, hope you know. Miracles happen all the time, and everything is temporary, so don't let it get you down. I'll be back. Deuces.